Alright, this I knew. with the with the true nature of the white man, the true subconscious of the white man, whatever you want to call it. Before I start, matter of fact, I'm just start. I was gonna address some shit. I don't want to be that nigga. I don't want y'all to turn me into that nigga just yet. But it's coming if niggas keep playing and shit. My name all in your mouth and all on your Facebook pages. Shit. Make a video about your ass if you keep playing. Let's get into the early man of Europe. Early man butchered and ate the brains of children as part of everyday diet. This is what the fuck they did all the time. Early cavemen in Europe ate human meat as a part of their everyday diet, new research suggests. A new study of fossil bones in Spain shows that cannibalism was a normal part of everyday life. What they want us to believe is 80,000 years ago among Europe's first humans. Bones from the cave called Grandolina show signs of cuts and other marks which will have been made by early stone tools. Among the bones of bison, deer, wild sheep, and other animals, scientists discovered the butchered remains of at least 11 human children and adolescents. The bones also displayed signs of having been smashed to get the nutritious marrow inside, and there was evidence that the victims' brains may have also been eaten. So these motherfuckers didn't give a fuck about their own children. You know what I'm saying? They eating their own kids to survive. And this look, they got the little display here with the little naked cave bitch. She ain't even bust their head open. She going from the neck in. She going from the long way in. Eating her own damn kids' brains. You know what I'm saying? This shit is rooted in them genetically. Streak marks on the bone at the base of the skull also indicated that the humans had been decapitated, according to the study's co-author Jose Maria Bermudez de Castro. She is of the National Research Center on Human Evolution in Burgos, Spain. And she said probably then they cut the skull for extracting the brain. The brain is good for food. You know what I'm saying? She just said the shit like it's casual. The brain is good for food. She probably got some brains in her refrigerator. Scientists believe that early man ate fellow humans to fulfill his nutritional needs and to kill off neighboring enemy tribes. Like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Bones of humans that had been eaten spanned a period of around 100,000 years. So they did this shit from the point they existed, indicating that the practice was not just confined to times when food was scarce. So they didn't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? This is what they preferred to do. You know what I'm saying? It could be a whole damn tree of apples. You know, they gonna break a branch off and kill you and eat you instead. They don't give a damn. That's what they preferred, you know. And the fact that the bones were discarded with those of other animals suggests that there was no religious significance to the practice. And here they go in the caves looking at their ancestors' dwellings, feeling right at home. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be surprised if they tempted to eat each other, just being in there. The defleshed bones were found in excavations in Sierra de Atapuerca in the north of Spain. Because human and animal remains were tossed away together, the researchers speculated that cannibalism had no special ritual role linked to religious beliefs. Instead, the practice was probably more widely used as a way of dealing with competition from neighboring tribes. So that's just how the fuck they dealt with each other. And that's just how they chose to eat. Children have been targeted as they would have been less capable of defending themselves. That's just sick. You know what I'm saying? You can't go nowhere in Africa and see some shit like that. That's something that's not of humankind. You're not finna see no damn Africans eating their kids just because they were neighbors. The fuck? Then we're going to go to cannibalism in Europe. Medicinal cannibalism has been documented in European medical literature since at least 3rd century AD. You know what I'm saying? That's, according to them, that's the year after Jesus died. Year of. Them motherfuckers been doing this shit forever. When the Roman writer Pliny the Elder wrote that drinking human blood was a cure for epilepsy. So, you know what I'm saying? Damn a communion. You know what I'm saying? Every first Sunday, you practicing ancient European concepts. Besides blood, Europeans consumed human flesh, heart, bones, skull, bones, and bone marrow, and other body parts, and body products. You know what I'm saying? Body products is feces and piss and all that shit. Physicians and pharmacists prescribe substances from human corpse to treat a variety of diseases, including arthritis, reproductive difficulties, warts, and skin blemishes. And I guarantee you that shit didn't work. Blood was considered most effective when drunk immediately after death of the person from whose body it was taken. That's fucking vampirism. And the blood of those who died violently in their prime was thought to be especially potent. This shit is based off belief. It's not even based off any sciences. This is just sick, insane shit, you know, that they into. And this is from 3rd century AD. This is the beginning of their history. You know what I'm saying? This is what they built they structure around. This is their medical practice. Executed criminals are one of the main sources of body substances. In Denmark, epileptics were reported to stand around the scaffold in crowds, cup in hand, ready to cough the red blood as it flows from the still quivering bodies. Until the 19th century, public executioners earned part of their living by selling criminals' body parts, especially the skulls and hands and fingers. That shit is a part of their economy. When something's a part of your economy, that's a part of your everyday life. The touch of a dead man's hand was thought to cure goiter and warts, and thieves carried a dead man's hand to avoid detection when robbing a house. And what kind of sick ass shit is this? You know what I'm saying? Therapies based on ingesting corpse substances were popular in Europe among both elites and lower class. In the 16th and 17th centuries, medicinal uses of human corpses moved from folk medicine into the ranks of standard medical practice, with the rise of Paracelsian school of medical philosophy, which promoted the use of a variety of human body substances. The Galenists eventually came to dominate the medical use of animal products, including human substances, fell out of favor by the 19th century. The practice of medicinal cannibalism seems to have more or less faded out in Europe. So they say. In the heyday of European medicinal cannibalism, dried and powdered human body products were regular items on the shelves of any well-stocked pharmacy, and the London apothecaries, one of the most popular remedies was a fucking mummy. a medicinal preparation of the remains of an embalmed, dried, or otherwise prepared human body that had ideally met with sudden, preferably violent death. Pieces of preserved human flesh and liquid mummy, known as menstruation of the dead, were a universal panacea recommended by Paracelsian physicians, in the use of these escalated in England, France, Germany, and other parts of Western Europe in the 16th and 17th centuries. One famous recipe for preparing mummy gave the following directions. Take the fresh, unspotted cadaver of a red-headed man, because in them the blood is thinner and the fresh, hence more excellent. Age about 24, who has been executed and died a violent death. Let the corpse lie one day and night in the sun and moon, but the weather must be good. Cut the flesh into pieces and sprinkle it with myrrh and just a little aloe. Then soak it in spirits of wine for several days. Hang it up for 6 or 10 hours. Soak it again in the spirits of wine. Then let the pieces dry in dry air in a shady spot. Thus they will be similar to smoked meat and will not stink. Them motherfuckers was making beef jerky. You know what I'm saying? Out of fucking humans. That's just the kind of shit they was into. And they been into the shit from the caves. All they did was evolutionize the cannibalism. You know what I'm saying? And this is explaining what I was showing earlier from the Spanish caves. But I wanted to show you exactly what that same Spanish archaeologist said. And it said, because human and animal remains were tossed away together, the researchers speculate that cannibalism had no ritual role linked to religious beliefs, nor was human meat an emergency food consumed only in lean times. It wasn't consumed as an emergency. They just did this shit. Castro said, cannibalized human bones were found in cave layers spanning a period of around 100,000 years, suggesting the practice was fairly consistent, according to the study. Furthermore, the European cannibals should have had little reason for hunger. The surrounding Sierra de Atapuerca region would have been a fantastic habitat for early humans with plenty of food and water, as well as a mild climate. So they chose to do this shit. They had plenty of vegetation and water around, but they rather eat brains and shit and whatever the fuck they was doing in them caves. You just don't grow out 100,000 years of eating each other. You know what I'm saying? At all. I didn't even add these. I took these out. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to stick to the physical realm. But in their mythology, there's several episodes in ancient Greece where they ate their children. You know what I'm saying? And Cronus is the major one, where some dude put his children in the stew and fed them to Cronus and shit. And you can see in this picture, she giving damn peckerwood her kid's head to eat. You know, I didn't want to get much into the mythology. Let's stick to what they was actually doing. So Europe's hypocritical history of cannibalism, from prehistory to the present, with many episodes in between, the region has a surprisingly meaty history of humans eating humans. References to acts of cannibalism are sprinkled throughout many religious and historical documents, such as reports of cooked human flesh being sold in 11th century English markets during times of famine. Here, an engraved by Theodore de Bry depicts hungry Spaniards cutting down the bodies of thieves hanged by Pedro de Mendoza in order to eat them. And for some reason, they had removed the picture from the article. They didn't want us to see that shit. You know, I guess those certain people were ashamed. You know, but we gonna go to what, you know, damn well they added this shit to the Bible. So we finna show y'all. I'm finna show y'all that this is not a part of just Greek beliefs. You know what I'm saying? And if you support this shit too, if you got one of these on your mantle, you might look over. It might be cracked over to that page right now. Deuteronomy 28:53-57. Because of the suffering that your enemy will inflict on you during the siege, you will eat the fruit of the womb, the flesh of the sons and daughters the Lord your God has given you. That's the fuck they was doing in them caves, man. Even the most gentle and sensitive man among you will have no compassion on his own brother or wife he loves or his surviving children, and he will not give to one of them any flesh of his children that he is eating. You know what I'm saying? That's what the fuck they've been doing for hundreds and thousands of years. You know, so why not make it, you know, a part of the religious dogma? It will be all he has left because of the suffering your enemy will inflict on you during the siege of your cities. The most gentle and sensitive woman among you, so sensitive and gentle that she would not venture to touch the ground with the sole of her feet, will begrudge the husband she loves and her own son or daughter, the afterbirth from her womb, and the children she bears, for she intends to eat them secretly during the siege and the distress that your enemy will inflict on you and your cities. I don't give a damn how bad shit got in Africa. You ain't never seen us eating our motherfucking kids. Ever. 2 Kings 6 verses 26-29. As the king of Israel was passing by on the wall, a woman cried to me, "Help me, my lord king." The king replied, "If the Lord does not help you, where can I get help for you? From the threshing floor? From the wine press?" Then he asked, "What's the matter?" She answered, "This woman said to me, 'Give up your son so we may eat him today. And tomorrow we'll eat my sons.' So we cooked my son and ate him. The next day I said to her, 'Give up your son so we may eat him.' But she had hidden him." Come on. She willingly gave up her son to... They eating their kids throughout the whole damn Bible. This is cannibalism, vampirism, and you practice the shit every first Sunday. Jeremiah 19:9. I will make them eat the flesh of their sons and daughters, and they will eat one another's flesh during the stress of siege imposed on them by the enemies who seek their lives. Come on, man. Limitations. With their own hands, compassionate women have cooked their own children, who became their food when the people were destroyed. John 6:53-56. Jesus said to them, "I tell you the truth, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you." That's why you do the shit. You know what I'm saying? Jesus told you to. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to be a cannibal as long as Jesus said it's cool. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life. You know, that just stems from what they thought already. That's not an African thought. The fuck? "And I will raise him up at the last day, for my flesh is real food and my blood is real drink. Whoever eats my flesh and drinks my blood remains in me and I in him." Well, you got a point there. You know what I'm saying? You got a good ass point there. According to a new book, Medicinal Cannibalism in Early Modern English Literature and Culture by Louis Noble, many Europeans, from royalty to scientists, routinely ate remedies containing human bones, fat, and blood in order to solve everyday complaints from headaches to epilepsy. Even as the supernatural view of the world evolved into a scientific one, people still ascribe to the theory that eating a part of the body would help cure ailments in your own organ. For instance, headaches could be cured by a portion of crushed skull or drink blood to cure blood ailments. So even when they learned scientifically that other shit helped them, they still went to that shit. That's what they preferred. Another book, Mummies, Cannibals, and Vampires, The History of Corpse Medicine from the Renaissance to the Victorians by English University lecturer Richard Shug, also shows the history of cannibalism in Europe. And you got King Charles II, even his believed to have enjoyed a liquor made from crushed human skulls. So this nigga was getting fucked up off people like shit. You know what I'm saying? He get the party started. Drinking niggas' heads and shit. I spilled my goddamn tea. Goddamn it, I had a big ass mason jar of that good green tea too. I saved a little bit, it's all good. Alright. Now this is for the people who gonna say, oh, you know, it was Indians and, you know, it was some African tribes that did shit like this. You know what I'm saying? But it was primitive religious beliefs. That shit didn't exist throughout our whole culture over time. You know what I'm saying? We can keep it real and say the shit did sneak its way in. You know. Las Casas' first strategy is to construct a textual journey to antiquity, a journey that seeks to dismiss the notion that cannibalism is original or unique to the New World, refuting many who think that the practice of eating human flesh was originated in this land. According to the different types of barbarism defined in the epilogue of the Apologetica Historia Sumeria, the Indians of the New World can be defined as barbarian only in relation to their paganism. So that shit, I mean, it looked barbaric from the outside, but on the cool, if you look the shit up, they was like eating the hearts of invaders and shit, or sacrificing them to their deities and stuff. You know, they wasn't just doing this shit just because. You know what I'm saying? I just showed you they was doing the shit because they preferred it. You know what I'm saying? They was right there in the area where plenty of fruits and vegetables and water and shit was, but they rather go to the cave next door and bust a nigga head open and eat his brains. You know what I'm saying? That's why that shit exists in all they movies, books, because that's genetic memory. That's just exactly what that shit is. Which is not negative because it indicates only a lack of revelation. And with respect to linguistic difference regarding the latter, Las Casas warns, as barbarous as they are to us, we are to them. Las Casas' discussion of barbarity takes place in continuous and casuistic comparison to ancient civilizations. He establishes a long tradition of paganism and human sacrifice among the Greeks, Romans, Jews, Babylonians, and others, and he reminds the reader that cannibalism was not unknown to the old world. For example, there was anthropophagy, which is another word. It's a synonymous with cannibalism among the early settlers of France, Spain, and England, as well as among Asian peoples. So there you have it, coming from the white man's mouth. Since that seems like what the fuck y'all like to respect these days. In the 14th century, romance of Richard the Lionheart, the Crusader king, falls ill outside of Acre. The food he needs to recover, he claims, is pork. You know, it's only a white man gonna think like that. You need something like pork to recover. Since rumor has the Saracens' taste of pork, his men cook and feed him human flesh without his knowledge. Demanding to see the head of the pig he has just eaten, the cooks bring him the human head. Richard reacts with amusement. He think the shit funny, laughing out loud and shit, LOLing in that hole. Gnawing the bones with relish, he announces now that he knows what good food Saracens are. His men won't starve. And then here go his quote. This is what the fuck he had to say. We shall never die of hunger, while that we may first slay the Saracens downright, wash the flesh and roast the head. Look at this shit, man. He was happy. He was like, damn, we ain't gonna never be hungry. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole city of them niggas over there. You know what I'm saying? Shit, we ain't got no pigs. There's some Saracens over there we can cook up real quick. While the flashiest modern headlines about cannibalism are confined to the depraved Dorangel Vargas or Jeffrey Dahmer, you know what I'm saying, or the desperate, Uruguayan rugby team who crashed in the Indies in 1972, who ended up eating each other. Stories of European cannibalism during the Middle Ages celebrated its supposed fierceness and utility. The climax of Richard's newfound diet comes when Saladin's emissaries come to broker an agreement, and Richard serves them some of their unfortunate comrades he has killed earlier. Just like the people of Fuchao, who Marco Polo described with horror in his travels, depicted in the image, who invite their enemy to come and dine with them on human flesh. Richard makes sure to outline each man's name and family lineage, announcing he will eat thereof right fast I shall, as if it were a tender chick, to see how you will like it. Richard eats with gusto, and when the others refuse to partake, he scolds them, explaining that the delectation of Saracen is the custom in his house. So shit, he mad, you know what I'm saying? You go to his house and don't want to eat the people of the Saracen people, shit. That nigga's mad, like, what the fuck, you missing out, you know what I'm saying? This shit good, it tastes like pork. King Richard bade them all be blithe and said, friends, be not squeamers. This is the manner of my house, to be served first. If God agrees with Saracens' heads, all hot. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Not only did he make them some Saracens, shit, he served you first. He mad in the bitch. Like, he could have been eating already. And you gonna turn down these good ass Pecker Woods. You know what I'm saying? Shit. That nigga mad in the bitch. This Russian motherfucker here in Curtis Kim report that today the Mangbetu, who were famous cannibals in travelogues of 19th century in the Congo, tell tales of their former cannibalism with great amusement and point to eukaryotes as evidence of Europeans manifest the same taste and even practice cannibalism overtly. This connection between eukaryotes and cannibalism has been noted by other Western scholars. A few of them attempted to relate in particular the identification of Catholic missionaries as cannibals by Africans with the transcendent cannibalism inherent in the eukaryotes in the mosque. They argued that Africans' understanding of missionary action led to cannibal and vampire accusations. So when the missionaries came over, the Africans knew they was eating them. You know what I'm saying? You can't be fooled by what the fuck these niggas be talking about on Facebook. We wasn't just falling for that shit. Some of us knew that they was no good. Yet in Africa, even before the arrival of Christian missionaries, Western travelers and explorers were rather often identified as cannibals by local people, an identification that was made independent of missionary practices of the eukaryotes. Besides missionaries, colonial administrators was also associated with cannibalism. So it didn't matter what Peckerwood came through that bitch, they looked at him as a cannibal. They knew what they was about from the jump. And they was probably eating the motherfuckers that knew that shit. Otherwise, they wouldn't be over there now. It follows that the identification of white men with cannibals conforms above all to the classical stereotype of radical otherness. This chapter attempts to show that while the figure of the resurrecting cannibal in Torah was indeed informed by missionary practices, the transcendent cannibalism inherent in the Holy Communion seems to have played only a minor role. Take this phone. Alright, the rape of Europa. Now I told y'all I wasn't gonna leave you had no fucking Greek mythology that had to do with cannibalism. You know what I'm saying? But we finna into the bestiality side of these peckerwoods. So this is the painting of the rape of Europa. Now while I read this, I want to examine in this painting. According to Greek mythology, Zeus became so obsessed with the princess Europa that he shapeshifted into a tame white bull to lure her closer. In any case, Zeus appeared to the group in the form of a white bull, one that was more beautiful than any other, a bull that smelled of flowers and lowed beautifully, a bull so obviously gentle that all the maidens rushed to stroke and pet it. So this nigga, this peckerwood ass deity, decided to turn into a bull to pull the princess. That's how you know these motherfuckers sick. This nigga turned into a bull to prove to her servants that the animal wasn't dangerous. She mounted the bull, which then instantly, with her still on his back, ran into the ocean and swam to Crete. So that's what's going on right here. That nigga Zeus took her. You know what I'm saying? He was like, shit, I done pulled her now. He finna burn off. You know what I'm saying? And once there, Zeus proceeded to rape Europa. Now, there's a whole lot of different modern translations and interpretations of this shit where Zeus turned back human or all kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? But regardless, there's one theme synonymous to this story, and that he turned into a bull to attract this white woman. So, and that just shows an attraction to animals in itself. That's still twisted. You know, and another one says that she just fell in love and promised to have all his sons. One of them ended up being Poseidon. You know what I'm saying? And that shit is just nasty. But the oldest ones that I found was that he raped her. You know what I'm saying? He pulled her as a bull. Soon as he got her away from everybody, he gave her that bull dick. You know, I'm sorry to say it like that, but that's just how it happened. And Europa was initially a Cretan moon goddess who was incorporated into Greek mythology as a virgin Phoenician princess. You know what I'm saying? So really, this is a lot of people like to a modern interpretation is saying that it's a rape of Africa. You know what I'm saying? I don't really support that theory. That shit is sick. You know, if you into bestiality, you can keep that to yourself. She was the daughter of King Agenor of Sidon, and Europe was named after her. So they named their whole fucking continent after a fucking white bitch that fucked the bull. She got attracted by the bull fucked her. That's what their country is named after. They into that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? They like that shit. Now this is in a little religious book, School of Deliverance, Uncleanness. It is a filthy manner of practicing sexual affairs between human beings and animals. In most parts of Europe, both men and women are known to prefer animal pets as their life companion. Some lavish their desires and wealth on animal pets and treat such pets as human beings. They share their lives and properties with the animals and call them by human names. A tradition they done brought to America. They sleep with them on the same bed, something they was doing in the Caucasus Mountain caves. Eat with them in the same plate, something they was doing in them caves also. And have sexual intercourse with them, something we see they do all the time online on Facebook and shit. Individuals who practice bestiality do will their property to such pets before they die. You know what I'm saying? So they treat these as husband and wife type shit. You know what I'm saying? That's something you do for your wife. I'ma will everything. What your animals gonna do with your property? You know what I'm saying? You gotta have a twisted ass mind to even do some shit like that. Like, I'm not finna leave my fucking dog my house. That's stupid. You know what I'm saying? I got kids. Why would I will some shit to my fucking animal? In order to protect marriages with beasts, most European countries have enacted a law to protect the right of animals to be treated as though they are human beings. They done inducted them to main society. They got names. They getting wheels. Fuck around, got social security codes and shit. And of course, there's an animal rights society over there in Britain, you know, in the ASPCA over here in America. You know, so, and they pushing for this shit now. You know, the LGBT community is putting bestiality and pedophilia in the shit now. You know, they bringing the same shit they was doing in Europe, Rome, Greece, in the Caucasus Mountains over here to America. And all these so-called conscious black women that supporting the LGBT gonna end up supporting the same thing. They done baited you in with that shit. You know what I'm saying? And everybody looking where all the strong men at. Shit, y'all done allowed the niggas to be your faggot ass best friend, excuse me. Shit, that's just the unadulterated truth. Shit. Bestiality is an abomination. But would you believe it's legal in some parts of the United States and in some parts of the world? The rise of bestiality in America and around the world is troublesome. Believe it or not, bestiality cases are all over the news. A flood of stories has emerged in just the past few weeks alone. What in the world is going on? Shit, well, it's normal to them. That's what the fuck is going on. According to charges filed Wednesday in Tippecanoe Superior Court 5 in Lafayette, Indiana, a man was caught on home video engaging in sexual acts with a dog. The 52-year-old Peckerwood David Arnold faces 2 Class D felonies. You know what I'm saying? In connection with the abominable bestiality. You know what I'm saying? You put this shit out there. They don't want you to put this shit out there before it's legal. You know, they gonna crack down on your ass. But the same people that's cracking down on them for putting it out there is doing the shit at home. I guarantee you that. Meanwhile, James Lee Lyons, 53, was just sentenced to 8 years in prison for sexually abusing dogs. He was arrested twice on bestiality charges. That nigga didn't learn his lesson. He didn't give a fuck. And convicted in 1998 of attempted sexual battery on a child and sexual act with a child while in a familial role. You know, they nasty. This is shit that's been in their culture for thousands of years, and people want to act like we one and the same, and they gonna change, and we just need to give them a chance and shit. Well, damn, how many chances do they need before we realize this shit ain't natural? You know, we need to be segregated. It's too bad for all the lines that they didn't get busted for bestiality in Alabama, where having sex with animals remains legal. The Alabama Senate is just now addressing bestiality, voting to make it a crime in January. And it didn't pass. You know, what happened was they ended up making sodomy and bestiality legal in the U.S. military through Senate. But at least for now, it remains legal. And all I can say to that is, really, bestiality is illegal in Canada. But that's not stopping men from having sex with their four-legged friends. Anthony Vogman, a 30-year-old volunteer with the Canadian Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, pled guilty to charges of bestiality and corrupting morals. Red Pro News reports Vogman was found to have had performed sexual acts with dogs under his care during his time as dog walker between January and September in 2013. He also posted pictures of his acts online, which resulted in the corrupting morals charge. These motherfuckers is nasty. You know, and it's case after case. Missouri pig brothel dismantled during FBI raid. You know what I'm saying? This is what they like. All these women out here, y'all want to fuck pigs? You know, suspected for some time by local authorities of running a pig farm functioning as an underground pig brothel where clients paid for sexual service with the farm animals. The 67-year-old farm owner was arrested with 2 of his sons and 30 guests who present to celebrate the New Year's Eve fucking pigs. Caught in full action during the night of New Year's Eve, the FBI raid engaged more than 16 agents in what local officials believe to be the biggest crackdown on animal brothel in American history. And here they go, right? Zoom in on that. Look at these peckerwoods, just to let you know. Just because it was in Mississippi, you know what I'm saying? You gotta watch your neighbors if you in Mississippi. Here you go right here. They go to Greek art. You know, they want to be black bad, but you don't see no art like this. You know what I'm saying? They got one fake ass inscription in Egypt where a nigga making fun of his boss. They like to show one side of that story, the Hebrew Israelites do, but don't explain where it came from. In Germany, bestiality brothels. They love selling animal vagina for some reason. And I guess it's a lucrative business being an animal pimp, you know? The bestiality brothels are referred to as erotic zoos. Bestiality brothels are raging through Germany because of a law that makes animal X-rated films illegal. But sex with animals is still okay. As long as you don't put it on camera, you can fuck a dog in the ass. You know what I'm saying? In one case, a German farmer noticed that his flock of sheep started to shy away from human contact. So he added cameras and found out that during the evenings, men were sneaking into his land to have sex with the animals. Most people who are bored at night make a run to Taco Bell, not out to the farm to fornicate with sheep. This motherfucker's nasty. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing. It's genetically imposed into their DNA to want to fuck animals. This is 1,000-year practice with these people. You know, so here go case after case. You got this dude accused of filming himself raping a small dog in Texas. You got him, male rapes a dog named Baby Girl. You got this dude, Becky, filmed by her husband while having sex with a dog. You know what I'm saying? This nigga filmed his wife having sex with a dog. You got this dude, he got bestiality and child porn going on. You don't see no niggas into shit like this unless they just hanging around white people all the time. You know what I'm saying? You got these dudes, furry fetish parties. These niggas right here was dressing up as animals, having these parties and raping little kids. You know what I'm saying? This shit is nasty. They sick and deranged. This is the true nature of these people, and we ignore it. We think we can live amongst this kind of shit. We think we can share religions with them. We think we can have interracial couples without these type of elements existing in our homes, and that's not true. You got the ratchet white female recorded video of herself performing sex acts on a dog. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all seen the other Facebook video. Y'all nasty ass was sharing the shit, so that's just as might as well saying you was supporting the shit of the little white chick getting ate out by her dog. Y'all like that shit. You know what I'm saying? If you sharing the shit, you like the shit. I don't give a damn. You want somebody else to see it because you looked at it. You're nasty. Now we're going to go to agate. Greek for the highest form of love. How many Thelemites do you hear saying this? Thelema, a form of masonry, is a religion for gays. Just like the RC Church and Freemasonry, they are completely anti-woman and want to do away with them completely by squaring the circle. Now, have you ever heard that term, occult, squaring the circle? They into some gay ass shit. The feminine is round, the masculine is square. This is allegory for creating males who can bear children. This is something they trying to do to this day. You know what I'm saying? They even trying to got transgenders asking women to not call themselves pregnant, but call themselves childbearing people. The fuck? How the fuck is you sensitive to natural shit? Because you want to be fucking nasty. You got Freemasonry, and all the fraternities are based on the values and systems of patriarchal Greek Plato influenced, Socrates and the Orphic, Pythagorean, and Eleusinian mystery schools who perverted the true teachings from real mystery schools of the true spiritual royalty. They perverted the shit that came from Africa. I don't if you Scottish rites, anything out there that's probably not Prince Hall, you into some weird shit. You know what I'm saying? I know in a lot of masonry that's not Prince Hall, one of the opening rituals is mounting the goat or some shit. You can look that shit the fuck up. I wouldn't lie to you. Young men are taught to enter into a bromance type relationship. They love to use that word on TV, that's television programming, with older members of the order, and to just use women as someone to breed them children and look after the home. They are taught that if they kiss the arse for long enough of their superior, they will get special knowledge and get better career prospects. You know what I'm saying? You see this shit all the time in Hollywood. We just look past it. Y'all support the shit because y'all support Hollywood. That's just the reality of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I got a TV, that bitch barely cut on unless the basketball game on or I'm playing 2K or some shit. I don't really give a fuck about none of that shit that's on TV because it's all fucked up. I'm not going to allow that shit to corrupt who I am. It get to the point where motherfuckers start making excuses for this shit all the time. You got excuses. You got the strongest women in the revolution making excuses for male homosexuality now. That's just the world we live in. The wives all think it is just the boys having some harmless fun, not realizing how they are being thought of, and they are put out the way by getting them to join female societies where they are taught to be good housewives and mothers and how to look after their husbands. It's shit, the Elks, Lions lodges. It's all kind of little shit like that where, you know what I'm saying, where these niggas, these peckerwoods is going off and fucking each other in the ass and having orgies with animals and shit. The shit's out there, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to put it out there. I don't give a fuck. This is also true of the Wiccan tradition. I know a lot of y'all picked that shit up thinking it's an offshoot from Africa. It's not. I'm going to tell you now, this shit ain't got shit to do with Africa. You practicing that Wiccan shit, it's some shit they gave white women to pacify them, to make them feel like they was in the order, which is another offshoot of Freemasonry that teaches women to think small and not rock the boat, as they are not given any true spiritual teachings, just allegory they are told is real. The ultimate aim of Freemasonry and the RC Church is to do away with women completely and create men who can have children. Then really can Desdemona destroy demon females. The whole story of Desdemona was about this fact. So deeply rooted in these men is their hatred for women, which you can see throughout the entire Greek culture, Rome, and even to this day. Any who dare to stand up against them is demonized. They want women to be passive, submissive, and out the way so they can stop feeling so hurt about the fact they need a woman to gain enlightenment, and that they must activate their feminine sides to do that. They don't want to balance and harmony. They want war, power, control, and games. Christianity is against homosexuality, yet they have no respect for women. Anytime, you got a whole Messiah that come from a woman, you can never be greater than your container. You know what I'm saying? And you look at the way Jesus addresses his mother, he always addresses her as woman. Hey, woman. You know what I'm saying? That's how he addresses his mother. If a young African addresses his mother, hey, woman, you finna get the piss slapped out of you. You know what I'm saying? That shit's not finna fly in the African household. That's a European concept we need to get the fuck out of. They'll call any woman who wants to be an equal a feminazi, a man hater. This is y'all on Facebook every day. Black men should be the biggest feminists on the planet. Ain't no way the concerns of our creators don't come first. Period. You still practicing European customs with a mindset like that. Yet all while they hate women themselves. Y'all hate women, especially Hebrew Israelites. Every day. Y'all know I ain't lying. They see women as a possession, something that has no feelings, who deserves no respect, no love. They are just there to make children and look after the man. Then they are free to carry on their bromance relationships with other men as they feel they are real men if they love and have sex with a man and not some round, fine, feminine woman. If this isn't anti-woman and homosexual, what the fuck is it? If a woman grows weary and at least dies from childbearing, it matters not. Let her die from bearing. She is there to do it. Martin Luther. Let's not confuse that with the king. That's that peckerwood ass motherfucker. The education of youths took place in the gymnasium. Far more than the modern gym, such a complex was situated in the center of every Greek town. There, boys and men spent a large part of their day engaged in physical and intellectual exercise. Its architecture was described by the Roman architect Vitruvius. First, it contained a large peristyle, a square with a perimeter of 2 stadia. You know what I'm saying? It's 90 meters to 270 feet per side. It was surrounded on 3 sides by single arcades, and on the southern side by a double arcade that enclosed the Ephebion, the training ground for the Epheboi. young men past the age of majority, that is 18 or 20 or so. At the sides were baths, halls, and other rooms where philosophers, rhetoricians, poets, and all the many friends of male beauty would come together. Behind the peristyle were further arcades, one of them the Exitos training ground for the youths. The rooms were decorated with all kinds of artwork. Above all the statues of gods and heroes such as Hermes, Apollo, and the Muses, Heracles, and especially Eros. Such daily exposure to many wondrous works of art, to the beauty of young male bodies, you ain't hear no female names, harmoniously developed by regular exercise, goes a long way towards explaining the Greeks' enthusiasm for beauty in male eros. The word gymnasium derives from gymnos, naked, reflecting the fact that all sports were performed unclothed. So they got all these niggas in there wrestling naked and shit. Not surprisingly, the gymnasium was a epicenter of erotic energy. The cult of male nudity was a widespread phenomenon of Greek life and was viewed as one of the cardinal differences between the cultured Greeks and their barbarian neighbors. You know what I'm saying? So we was barbaric because we didn't want to wrestle naked and shit. The fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Nudity was practiced not only in the gymnasium, but also in the great national competitions in Olympia, Nemea, Delphi, and on the Isthmus, at the religious ceremonies, at public festivals, and at private feasts where the young cupbearers went usually in the nude. The Gymnopedii was an important yearly festival in Sparta, celebrated with dances and presentations of naked boys, not men, boys. Paradoxically, the Spartan authorities tried to use the dances as rewards for fighting the decrease in population that their state was stricken with. Only married men were allowed as spectators. You know what I'm saying? So they was so gay, the population was decreasing. You know what I'm saying? So they had to make it where the only way, you know what I'm saying, if you can come to these events was if you had a wife at home that you can bear children with to keep the population high. This shit is sick, man. And we're going to get into some more ancient Greece. In ancient Greece, same-sex relationships between men were considered the highest form of love. They were just as common and accepted as heterosexual relationships in America today. This male-male relationship was based on love and reciprocity, and typically called for the older man to initiate the relationship. You know what I'm saying? It was fucking pedophiles. Just like I said earlier, they trying to make this shit legal today in America. He would give gifts to the younger man as a promise of love. The relationship between the lover, the older man, and the beloved, the younger boy, was thought to be the highest form of love. It showed that the men regarded furthering themselves in knowledge and intelligence rather than just a physical connection. Some who did not attempt to make this connection were seen as shallow. The older man will become the mentor and the lover to the younger man, and the two will perform a close emotional bond. You know what I'm saying? I could get biblical into this, but I'm not. You know what I'm saying? We all know Jesus was a mentor. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. The youth would be taught his duties as a citizen and skills to further his place in society by the older man. And once the youth reached adulthood, the sexual relationship between the two men evolved into a very strong friendship. As an adult, the youth would then marry a woman and initiate a relationship with another adolescent. So the shit was a big cycle of homosexual pedophilia that was a part of their everyday life. You know what I'm saying? These are 1,000-year practices that we expect these people to just let go of all of a sudden. We just like to turn our head. We know the shit going on. We just like to turn our head. You know what I'm saying? An exclusively homosexual relationship was discouraged, however, and not considered a substitute for male-female marriage. Marriage and the children that would be produced within it was required to maintain the family and society. You know what I'm saying? So they just really only wanted the women for childbearing. If the men could have babies, they would probably kick the women out of society. They'll throw them to the desert, throw them to the woods, fuck around and eat them. You know what I'm saying? They like that shit. They would fucking eat the women all day. You know what I'm saying? The wives were viewed by husbands as domestics and childbearers, while the men were away with their young lovers. Women raised children and took care of the household. Women were discouraged from taking lovers outside of the marriage bed. So you couldn't even have a side nigga. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't gonna find a side nigga because all niggas was gay. That's just how it was. You know what I'm saying? It's the same way for white women now. That's why they be trying to come to us. We don't want you. You know what I'm saying? I'll let you know now we don't want your ass. Not no real nigga. Especially after seeing this shit. Alexander the Great, examples of this highly regarded male-male relationship can be found all throughout Greek myth and Greek history. One example is the story of Apollo and Hyacinthus. Apollo fell in love with a mortal boy, Hyacinthus, and became a mentor to the youth. He taught Hyacinthus the art of war and sports and visited him often. Hyacinthus died in a javelin accident from which his blood, the hyacinthus, was created. Hyacinth, it's a little plant or whatever. In another version, they were exercising one day, throwing around a discus. Apollo threw it and Hyacinthus ran after the disc, but it hit the ground, bounced, and stroked the ground, killing Hyacinthus. He then became a purple flower with AI on the petals. Other Greek gods and Greek heroes have stories attributed to them about their same-sex relationships, Zeus and Hercules among them. It was also said, though not confirmed, that Alexander the Great, the renowned Greek conqueror, of Persia, had homosexual relationships with his close friend Hephaestion. You know what I'm saying? They put that shit in the movie. I ain't watched that shit, I really can't give you too much on it. I just heard they put the shit in the movie. I don't know if they was doing gay shit or not, or did they just imply it? You know what I'm saying? But I know it's in the fucking movie. Okay, so we finna get to the Holy Inquisitions, the witch hunters. We finna show you how they treated the women based off their religion and some shit that they gave them. You know what I'm saying? This is shit that they gave the women and was like, you know what? Fuck it. That shit's dumb. You know what I'm saying? I guess, it's hard for a nigga like me to understand what the fuck going on in these peckerwood heads. I ain't gonna lie to you. If women become tired or even die, that does not matter. Let them die in childbirth. This is why they are there. It's Martin Luther, 1483 to 1546, leader of the German Reformation, a religious movement that led to the ultimate birth of the Protestantism. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a black Protestant, you support this shit. I don't give a damn. I keep it real. The holy witch hunts, excuse me. The term witch comes from the Old English word Wicca, which is derived from the Germanic root wick, meaning to bend or to turn. Such accounts of witchcraft are found extensively in antiquity, from Medea, who employed sorcery to help Jason win the Golden Fleece, to the witch of Endor in the Old Testament, by whom King Saul consulted. You know what I'm saying? So they even using this shit to help them. They don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? They don't care. You know, these are wicked people, and I'm about to show you how wicked they are to their own women. Most justification of the persecution of witches in Europe all later based themselves on such biblical precepts as commanded, though, that thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. And that's the Exorcist. Or that the things that the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. These imputations from the 8th century and up then saw witchcraft becoming highly associated with apostasy, with extensive and very violent campaigns taking place to mark its spread. The holy witch hunts. The term, okay, we already read that where the term witch came from. Okay. This is a woman's chamber inside the Inquisition Cathedral. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the machines they'll use to hold the woman. That don't even look like no comfortable shit to be on. You know what I'm saying? That's how they treated their women. Throughout time. There it goes again. So we're going to pick up in the dark side of Christian history. Helen Ellerby provided a baseline on the 300-year period of witch hunting from the 15th to 18th century, in what R.H. Robbins calls the shocking nightmare, the foulest crime and deepest shame of Western civilization that ensured that European abandonment of the belief in magic. The church created the elaborate concept of devil worship. They created the elaborate concept of devil worship and then used the persecution of it to wipe out dissent, subordinate the individual to authoritarian control, and openly denigrate women. So they just made some shit up, you know what I'm saying, just because they ain't want them practicing that shit. You know what I'm saying? It was, you know, the shit probably had some substance to it. You know we all know they stole shit from Africa. You know, the shit they probably found some shit they could use. And the niggas ain't like that shit. You know what I'm saying? That's a patriarchal society. And as I showed you, they didn't want the women doing nothing but bearing children. So even doing fake magic was too much. Whether it was real or not, the shit was too much for them. You know what I'm saying? The witch hunts became an eruption of Orthodox Christianity's vilification of women, or the weaker vessel in St. Peter's words. The 2nd century St. Clement of Alexandria wrote, "Every woman should be filled with shame by the thought that she is a woman." This is what they thought about they women. You ain't never seen no shit like this in Africa. You know what I'm saying? If the woman wasn't on an equal plane as the man, she was held higher. Everywhere, period. The 6th century Christian philosopher Boethius wrote in the Consultation of Philosophy, "Women is a temple built upon a sewer." Bishops at the 6th century Council of Macon voted as to whether women had souls in the 10th century. Odo of Cluny declared, "To embrace a woman is to embrace a sack of manure." These is y'all religious leaders. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I promise you go into a pastor's office, it's going to be books. You know what I'm saying? With these motherfuckers' names on it. And he probably at the house beating the fuck out his wife. And this is why. The 13th century St. Thomas Aquinas suggested that God had a mistake in creating woman. Nothing deficient or defective should have been produced in the first establishment of things, so women ought not to have been produced then. Lutherans at Wittenberg debated whether women were really human beings at all. Orthodox Christians held women responsible for all sin, as the Bible's Apocrypha states. I know a lot of niggas that like the Apocrypha. You know what I'm saying? Can't keep a woman worth a damn, and we know why now. Of woman came the beginning of sin, and thanks to her, we must all die. Thanks to the woman, we must all die. It is women who are often understood to be impediments to spirituality in a context where God reigns strictly from heaven and demands a renunciation of physical pleasure, as Corinthians 7:1 states. It is a good thing for a man to have nothing to do with a woman. Y'all missed that shit in church, didn't you? I don't see how is so many women into this Bible when the whole thing is against women. We gonna stay on the topic of these corrupt ass peckerwoods though. The inquisitors who wrote the Malleus Maleficarum explained that women are likely to become witches than men because the female sex is more concerned with things of the flesh than men. Being formed from a man's rib, they are only imperfect animals and crooked, whereas man belongs to a privileged sex from whose midst Christ emerged. You see how backwards this shit is? King James I estimated that the ratio of women to men who succumbed to witchcraft was 20-1. Of those formerly persecuted for witchcraft, between 80 to 90% were women. Though the rest of them were probably straight, you know what I'm saying? They was confused why they didn't want to fuck the other niggas, you know what I'm saying? They just fucked up like that. And you can see him here, look, he got her in a chair covered with spikes, bound to it. That's how they treat their women, historically. And the burning chair consisted of iron nails that could be heated red hot from below. The victim would be bound and then slowly roasted in the open air as the coils heated the iron. It's the same shit they did to their women. They translated into forms of rape and slavery. That's just how they treat women. They like men. You know what I'm saying? The persecution of witchcraft also enabled the church to prolong the profitability of the Inquisition. The Inquisition had left regions so economically destitute that the Inquisitor Aymeric complained, "In our days there are no more rich heretics. It is a pity that so solitary an institution as ours should be so uncertain of its future." They was fucking up their own shit. The Inquisition exposed a whole new group of people from whom to collect money. It took every advantage of this opportunity. The author Barbara Walker notes, victims were charged for the very ropes that bound them and the wood that burned them. Every procedure of torture carried its fee. After the execution of a wealthy witch, officials usually treated themselves to a banquet at the expense of the victim's estate. So they was basically, you know what I'm saying, really, you probably didn't even have to be a witch. You know what I'm saying? You weren't supposed to be rich as a woman anyways in their eyes. So you already a witch just for being rich. So they take you, put it through all these torture rituals or whatever the fuck you want to call them, and charge you for each thing. That's exactly what the fuck they do when you go to jail sometimes. You can look at this here. It got cut off, but they got the bitch bent over some shit. You know what I'm saying? I feel sorry for them. That shit was going on in Africa. You know what I'm saying? Bet you wish you was black. Just like today, you know what I'm saying? Can't stop trying to be our women. What is the difference whether it is in a wife or a mother? It is still Eve, the temptress, that we must beware of in any woman. I fail to see what use woman can be to man if one excludes the function of bearing children. That's St. Augustine, the prominent pioneer of Western theology. The sexual mutilation of accused witches was not uncommon. With the Orthodox understanding that divinity had little or nothing to do with the physical world, sexual desire was perceived to be ungodly. When the men persecuting the accused witches found themselves sexually aroused, they amused that such desire emanated not from themselves but from the woman. They attacked the breasts and genitals with pincers, pliers, and red-hot irons. Some rules pardoned sexual abuse by allowing men deemed zealous Catholics to visit female prisoners in solitary confinement while not allowing female visitors. The people of Toulouse were so convinced that the Inquisitor Fouquet de Saint George arranged women for no other reason than to sexually abuse them that they took the dangerous and unusual step of gathering evidence against him. Old wise-healing women were particularly targets for witch hunters as well. They didn't want you to do shit. You couldn't even be a damn nurse. You was a witch. You know what I'm saying? You an old woman who just want to, you trying to help the old Peckerwoods be healthy. You a witch. You know what I'm saying? We finna tie you up and burn you. At this day, Reginald Scott in 1584. You know what I'm saying? This is 1584. That ain't nothing but a couple, like, 400 years ago, less than. You know what I'm saying? 500 years ago, really. It is indifferent to say that the English tongue, she is a witch or she is a wise Wiccan. You know what I'm saying? You can't say that shit. You know what I'm saying? Common people of pre-reformational Europe relied upon wise women and men for the treatment of illness rather than upon churchmen, monks, or physicians. Robert Burton wrote in 1621, sorcerers are too common, cunning men, wizards, and white witches, as they call them, in every village, which, if they be sought unto, will help almost all infirmities of body and mind. So they knew they was good for something, but shit, they just couldn't. The Peckerwood mind just didn't want them to be good for something. You know what I'm saying? By combining their knowledge of medicinal herbs with an entreaty of divine assistance, these healers provided both affordable and most often more effective medicine than was available elsewhere. That's because most of the time elsewhere, the motherfuckers was eating people. You know what I'm saying? Churchmen if you weren't eating people, you know, you was a witch, basically. You know what I'm saying? Any real medicine, they deeming you a witch or a sorcerer. They finna burn your ass up. And they not throwing away the body. You finna hit the market. You know what I'm saying? And we gonna charge you for this shit. You know, they doubling the capital in the economy with that. Churchmen of the Reformation objected to the magical nature of this sort of healing, to the preference people had for it over the healing that the church or a church licensed physician offered, and to the power that it gave women. Like I said, they just didn't want the women to have power, period. As the byproduct of the witch hunts, the field of early medicine also transferred to exclusively male hands, and the Western herbal tradition was largely destroyed. You put that shit in the male Peckerwood hens, they have you eating crushed bones and shit. So now we go on all the way thousands, hundreds of years later. The same shit still going on. 1 in 3 women have reported some sort of form of physical or sexual abuse since the age of 15 in the major survey published on Wednesday that attempts to assess the extent of violence against women across the European Union. The report by the European Union Agency for Federal Rights, Violence Against Women, an EU-wide survey is based on 42,000 in-person interviews, which a randomly selected sample of women across the 28 EU member states. Jane Martinson writes today, violence against women is an extensive human rights abuse across Europe, with 1 in 3 women reporting some form of physical or sexual abuse since the age of 15, and 8% suffering abuse in the last 12 months, according to the largest survey of its kind on the issue, published Wednesday. So we need, I know this shit exists in our community. We need to stop doing this shit. That shit is, we done picked shit up from the Peckerwoods by allowing them to pervert our spirituality, and we can't let that shit go. You know what I'm saying? We want to fit into their society and all this other bullshit. That shit is not us. You know what I'm saying? If a nigga putting your hands on you, shoot that nigga in the fucking face. Shoot that nigga. Go tell your daddy, your brothers, your cousins. You know what I'm saying? If they don't do shit, go back and shoot that nigga. Don't fuck with them niggas no more. You know what I'm saying? If you can't rely for the men around you for protection, they don't need to exist in your reality, point blank, period. And this is part 1 of the true nature of the white man, and part 2 gonna be coming real soon.